All right, everybody, thanks for tuning in. This episode is a first for us because not only are we covering a topic this episode that typically the two of us despise, but this is the first in the Horror Heads history, outside of like the undercover episodes that come out every once in a great while, that this episode is completely an impromptu episode where we thought we had a movie lined up that we were going to talk about, and then we weren't prepared for that one, but it just so happens that we both have seen this particular movie recently, and we were like, oh, well, hell, let's talk about that one. And so this is a complete impromptu episode, and not only is it an impromptu episode, this is an episode where we are talking about a, air quotes, superhero movie, which you will never hear on this show again unless there's a sequel to this movie. So we're talking about 2019's Brightburn.
Yeah, and originally, when we were trying to think impromptu, I was going to suggest, hey, maybe we should go revisit Hello, Mary Lou again. It's been a while. It's been, 6 months or so since we talked about that film. But yeah, so we decided on, just so happened, I saw this last night, and you saw it back when it first came out, didn't you?
Yeah, I saw it a couple of times in the theaters, yep.
Oh, wow. Okay. Back at your local theater?
Yeah, well, real close to home, yep.
So not the little theater?
Nope, not the little tiny mom and pop theater, but...
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it was kind of like one of those things where actually last week I was going to watch this movie, but it was only available to purchase on Amazon. And I'm like, well, no, I'm not going to buy any more movies digitally. So luckily this weekend it was for rent. And yeah, Brightburn, a 2019 American superhero horror film.
Which is so cool. And I take that back, that we'll never talk about a superhero movie, because there is one particular superhero movie that I do want to cover eventually. But it's not a modern superhero movie. But this movie is like really cool. So if you've never heard of Brightburn, so this came out earlier this year. And basically what Brightburn is, and I don't think this is really going to be, I guess maybe we should say spoiler, because I think it's just recently available digitally. I mean, it came out, in like May of this year, I guess. So it's been out for a little bit. But essentially what Brightburn is the exact scenario that they kind of have running through every Superman movie you've ever seen. And that is, oh, what if this dude is evil instead of good? So basically, Brightburn is just essentially Superman, but instead of the kid being like, oh, I'm going to use these powers for good, he discovers he has powers, and then turns out, yeah, he's just a little Satan demon shithead superhero and just kills everything in sight.
Yes, and it's very weird how this is like basically Superman to a T, which is kind of weird because, the whole concept of, the alien kid coming from space and just so happens to land in some small farm town in the United States, and, a couple of the parents are raising this kid and he's got superpowers, and funny that his powers are very similar to, what of the common powers of the Man of Steel himself. So yeah, it's a really good take on that, the Superman story. If Superman was an evil demonic character. And actually the first time I heard of this, because I had no idea about this film, or I follow, my go-to is Bloody Disgusting. That's the website I go for all my horror movie news, and if they were talking about it, I didn't, then obviously the name didn't ring a bell, so I wouldn't have never clicked on any of the links. But it was when we went to go see the Child's Play remake is when they played the trailer, and that was the first time I got a taste of what this was about. And I remember seeing the trailer and thinking, that looks pretty good. I mean, it's kind of unique there, kind of an interesting story. So
I will say too, this is a horror movie, but like you had said too, this is, for the most part, this is a straight up, this is a superhero movie, but as you had said before, it is a straight up horror movie as well. This is kind of your, it turns out to be a little bit towards the end, kind of your cat and mouse chase type of horror movie, which, in my opinion, because I saw it twice when it was still in the theaters, I mean, I thought it was great. You know, it's not long at all. It's a real short movie. They kind of get right to it. And where the horror elements come in, I mean, it is gory and stuff, but it is very suspenseful, and there are some jump scares in it, which is cool. But it is very, at least to me, I mean, it's, you know, you can't go into this type of movie. I mean, if you're going to a superhero movie to begin with and you're thinking you're going to get some Oscar-worthy thing, well, that's never going to happen outside of maybe the special effects or something. But you can't go into a movie like this and expect to be just like, oh, the story was amazing, or whatever, you know, the character development on this character was so good. No, this is exactly what you thought it was going in from all of the previews, that here is this kid, and yeah, exactly. I mean, it is essentially Superman to a T, except for instead of him using his powers for good, he decides that he hates everybody and is just gonna, you know, take over the world, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it kind of like almost like sort of like an antichrist demonic character that he plays, and very fascinating film. Yeah, I was totally, you know, interested to see how this thing would unfold, because it sort of it starts out where he seems pretty innocent, like, you know, when they bring him in, he's a little kid, and you know, it takes a while before you start to see that he realizes he has these powers. And one of the things too, I was going to ask you about, if you know, you saw it twice, I only saw it the one time, is, you know, the couple that adopt him or whatever, that find him, they keep the ship or whatever it was that he came in, they save that as well, and like leave it, they hide it in the basement of their barn, and it sort of like calls to him.
Yep.
And I was wondering if it was like, because it almost seems like it's two different people. Like until that happens, he's more of this innocent kid, and you don't really see the superpowers and all that stuff. And it's when that whatever is in that ship is start calling to him, it's almost like he becomes possessed with this other spirit at that point.
Well, because if you remember, it's when stuff starts to go awry towards the beginning of the movie, is they are celebrating his birthday, and I would assume that his birthday that they're celebrating is the day that they found him, probably.
Okay.
And so I don't think they ever came out and said if it was his 12th birthday or his 13th birthday, but what I kind of assumed it was he was this, just, you know, didn't know any better, and he was this boy growing up in the middle of nowhere in mid-America. And then once the ship, you know, maybe there was like a timer or something on the ship, and it was like, oh, it's been 12 years or it's been 13 years. It's time to wake him up. And so then once it starts calling him, then this, like, whatever in his brain kind of wakes up, because that's when he starts becoming kind of like a little bit of a dickhead to his parents and stuff when they're at the restaurant,
right,
celebrating, you know, and he like kind of back talks a little bit and he's like, I'm not doing that or whatever. And then severely progresses from that moment. So to me, that's what it was like, oh, it was, you know, it's kind of, maybe it was planned all along. Like, okay, so he's got to get there, and then he's got to kind of develop enough to where he can do what he needs to do before I trigger this thing in his mind.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah. Cause he seems pretty like innocent, like a regular kid. And cause then he turns really dark and like sinister, and like he has no emotion and nothing really, you know, once that trigger occurs. So I was almost wondering if, because you don't really ever see everything with like, did the baby actually come from the ship? I mean, you kind of it's alluded to, right? But yep. Like I was wondering if it was like, maybe in my mind I was kind of putting together the concept that maybe he was human, but then this sort of alien spirit or whatever came and like sort of possessed him. But I guess I don't know. That wouldn't go make. I guess it more connects to where he was.
Now you're going into more like poltergeist, alien type territory.
Sure, right.
I wasn't a huge Superman fan when I was a kid. I'm not a huge Superman fan to this day, really, but I've seen the Superman movies. The old Christopher Reeve stuff was always the best.
Oh, yeah.
But to me, and I know it was always one of those questions that people always had. Oh, what if Superman was bad and stuff? Yeah. But what I always thought would have been, which they did in this story, is what if instead of it was, what's his name from Krypton? Kal-Rule or whatever his name is.
Oh, his dad?
No, his name. Yeah.
Superman's name. Okay.
But whatever, Clark Kent. Instead of it being him, what if they would have sent Zod instead,
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's pretty much the story they kind of tell in this movie. Yeah. So it's really cool. But yeah, Elizabeth Banks, I think, does a great job as the mom. The dad, I think he did an okay job. But really, I think they could have had anybody play the dad character, and it would have been like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because, David Denman, the dad, he's one of those characters from The Office. He plays Roy, Pam's boyfriend from The Office. And it's kind of weird to see these Office characters starting to take up the horror mantle because what's his name? Who's the main,
from The Quiet Place?
From A Quiet Place, yeah. That he was like the main star of that, and his name completely escapes me. And he was in The Office. He was what was his name in The Office?
I don't know. I never watched The Office, but I know who you're talking about.
Oh, okay, yeah, gotcha. So it's kind of funny to see that, but because he having like kind of a recognizable face in this one was good. I thought this film was really well done, really well paced. It's very predictable. Let's put it that way. I mean, if you know the Superman story and you just kind of like, okay, if he was a bad guy, you kind of know what's going to happen. You kind of know the beats of this film. There wasn't any real shocking, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened type of things. I will say, though, I guess where the shock came to me was the extreme gore. I thought that was way, way over the top. I mean, I was not expecting it to be that gory, but it was it worked for this film because it was very effective because of how evil this kid is with these superpowers and what he does to people. Oh my gosh, I keep thinking of like the Jaw scene with the guy, his uncle.
Yeah.
Oh man, wow, that was crazy. And then of course the scene with the waitress when she gets the shard of glass in her eyeball.
Oh, horrible.
That was tough too. Yeah, I was thinking of you when that scene hit. I was thinking, gee, I wonder if this is going to be Shannon's new Hellraiser.
Oh,
scene.
you would. So I don't think I ever told you this yet. So this wasn't that long ago. For those of you that have been listening to the show for a while, you've heard the story before. What Mark is referring to, there is a scene in Hellraiser where they are moving a mattress up the stairs, and one of the characters scrapes the back of his hand against a nail on the wall, and I don't know, for whatever reason, just grosses me out. So about a month ago, or a month and a half ago, I was at a graduation party and was at this farmhouse out in the middle of nowhere, and it's some friends of mine, but I had to go into the garage to get some stuff, and I didn't see it when I was opening the garage door, but I opened the garage door, and there was a nail sticking out of the door jamb, and it caught my thumb.
Oh, man.
And cut my thumb wide open. No. And I was like, it's Hellraiser in real life.
Oh, my gosh.
So, yeah, wow. that scene freaked me out for years, and then it turned out to be a reality. 42 years later, I was like, I knew it was going to happen to me. That's why it always freaked me out. And then I just, there's like all these strange people, I don't know, because, I'm at a friend's like graduation party, like their kids, and here I am like bleeding like a stuck pig all over the place. I'm like, oh, sorry guys. But yeah, that seemed to like pulling it, gross.
Oh yeah. And then she's like, it's bleeding, it's bloody all over. Oh gosh, that was a rough scene to see.
Yeah, there was a lot of gore in this movie, and yeah, some of it was just like ugh, and some of it was like over the top when he blows the one cop just away.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh man, it's if you haven't seen Brightburn yet, I mean, I don't think we're really spoiling anything because you pretty much get the gist of it when you're watching the trailer. But yeah, this is definitely one of those ones. This is a movie that I would say is a definite beer and popcorn movie. It's a movie that you cannot go into really expecting a whole lot of anything. You know, it's very enjoyable. But as we say a lot of times, this is not this isn't your average Keystone Light, dollar store microwave popcorn. This is a top shelf beer. And, maybe some gourmet popcorn with a little bit of a fancy cheddar cheese sprinkle on there. I mean, this is a movie that you're going to sit back and you're going to love. But it's a movie that you can't go into expecting a whole lot out of it. You know, you're going to go into this movie getting a superhero horror movie, and that's exactly what you get.
And the weird thing about this, it's a really well done directed film.
Yeah.
This isn't like a low budget. I mean, it is. It seems like it is maybe to some level low budget. Like it's not like special effects, but it's not. But like it's kind of a small scale film in a lot of ways, but the direction is great. And this guy, I'm trying to like find out what else he's done. The director, who is David Yarovesky. I mean, he did a great job directing this film. And the producer, by the way, James Gunn, he is also responsible for written and directed Guardians of the Galaxy in 1 and 2. So that makes a lot of sense that he'd go into another superhero thing.
What it makes me think of is an independent movie that somehow got backed a major studio.
Yeah.
And it to me, it always, I mean, like you said, James Gunn had done Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. And so like him and the head of whatever studio are like sitting back at the office smoking a bowl and, eating some brownies or whatever. And, James Gunn is like, dude, what if Superman was evil?
Yeah, exactly.
And the guy was like, oh, I love that. Let's do that. And then he was like, yeah, let's do that.
And they did it.
And then they did it.
It really, totally. That is the perfect explanation for this film. And they did a really good job. It's exactly what you'd think it would be, and very effective and a great horror superhero film. And I did hear too, I do believe, because when this came out, once I realized what it was, and then there was starting to grow, a little buzz started to grow about it, and you started talking about it, and I started to notice what it was on like Bloody Disgusting and whatnot, so I'd click on some of the links. And from what I know, and I could, what I remember reading about some of the later things once the movie was released, is it didn't do very well in the box office, so we're probably not going to get a sequel, which I think is okay, because I don't think there really needs to be a follow-up to this story. I think it kind of wraps it up just fine in this one.
I remember seeing that too, that I think it bombed a little bit, and it was one of those but I think in the atmosphere that we are currently living in, where there's a Marvel or a DC movie coming out, it seems like every other weekend, throwing this out there is kind of maybe some see it as a slap in the face, like, oh, come on, you're making fun of my superheroes or whatever.
Sure.
But yeah, even though it does end in a way that would allow for a sequel, but yeah, I don't think, you can pretty much figure out what would happen. Unless,
yeah.
But the only way that you could counteract with what is currently happening, what is going on at the end of this movie, is if you had a Superman type of figure come into the mix, and then, well, there you go. Now we have Superman. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a nice little small movie by itself. I definitely don't think I need a franchise of Brightburn films. I think it's leave it alone. And because again, to be honest with you, there's nothing really original here other than like, the whole idea of what if Superman was bad. But I mean, they did it. It's done. It's over. They did a great job with it. I don't think they could have done any better. I don't think anybody could have. I think it was perfect little film, and let's leave it at that. Let's not ruin it with extra stories, and we don't need like a trilogy of Brightburn films and then a prequel after that, and none of that. So I think we're good.
So I'm going to go ahead and say that I give this one a pretty big thumbs up. If you're a fan of superhero movies, this, even though this isn't your typical superhero movie, I think if you're listening to this show and you're a fan of superhero movies, this is right up your alley.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to give this a big thumbs up too. Get yourself a nice craft beer and some gourmet popcorn, kick back and just relax and enjoy the film.